we're tasting
You haven't had
Rieslingfreak number 4, 2019, Eden Valley.
Oh, what song is it?
9.
Is this
Are we rolling?
It is on. It is on.
Oh, thanks. Where's the action?
Arguably,
Cheers.
best Riesling producer in the country today.
It is for me.
Rieslingfreak.
Do you guys drink much Riesling?
It's the only white wine I actually like. Riesling.
Paul's
I've read
Riesling.
a lot of it. I'm not a big Chardonnay person. Sauv Blanc's okay, but I love Riesling. And I'm probably a fan more of the younger, crisper, fresher Rieslings rather than the very aged Riesling, which gets all...
When you're saying
Kerosene.
young, I was going to say give it to the
Yeah,
wine.
yeah. What's that?
But, when you mentioned you were sort of more in favour of the young, and I was going to say give it to
The
the
wine
wine
as well,
Yeah,
yes,
the
correct. So,
What temperature is this meant to
edit
be?
that part out, can't we?
Damo, what temperature is this meant to be at?
This is dry, so you probably wouldn't want to go too cold. Is this 7, 8 degrees? Like, I don't know. I don't think it would.
It's an
What would
aromatic
that be now?
varietal, so you kind of want to smell it.
I don't know, what
Be
would you
able
say-
to smell.
What would you say?
What would that
Riesling,
be now?
It's just a bit classy.
Temperature-wise?
7, 8.
About that?
So I've had tarty. It's not that tart. It's nice, it's citrusy, it's soft on the nose, nice on the palate, but it's not that tart. It's not that.
19
Doesn't
for
sort
us.
of grab the glands.
This is from Eden Valley, so not far from here, but 19 was extremely hot and dry. So I assume these grapes were probably ripening very fast.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, pull it out when it's still a little bit
Sort
of
of comes
acid
through.
left, but the flavor is really starting to kick in.
Yeah.
And if you wait a week too long, you've lost all the natural acidity. So I guess it was a tough call to pick the grapes. I love the wine. I find it
I think
incredible.
that's right. Yeah.
I think Eden Valley makes the best Rieslings in the world, better than Germany, France, if you ask me. I'm a big fan of Eden Valley Riesling.
Very clear.
Claire is a bit too fruity for me, too classic passion fruit lime. Eden Valley is a bit more minerally and
Yeah, it is.
tougher to drink,
Yeah.
but I like them tough.
Small.
Didn't sound good.
You like them tough?
It's got is it like a hint of that cheese ball? Do you
Yeah.
notice? Yeah. Character?
We did notice that in
Cheese
the
balls.
2020.
Yeah, cheese balls.
Like Cheetos.
Yeah, cheese balls. I actually haven't seen that in his one before, but maybe it's the warmer vintage.
Actually does.
I really like about his wines. I really like the CO2. It works on having a little spritz to the wine that is texture, but if you look for it, you'll see it as spritzing.
This is on the higher side.
Yeah.
Have you been to his Silver
Actually, I haven't.
He only opens, you said, once a
private
week.
appointment?
I think Saturdays are open, or every other day, I guess, appointment only.
Yeah.
That's what I did when I bought this one.
But for a white wine experience,
Oh, it's good.
it is the best.
Is that all he does, Damien? He
Yeah.
doesn't do reds at all.
He
Just-
is, yeah, he's a
But it might sound boring, but he does all sorts. Like
Sparkling
3 dry
Riesling.
stars from different regions, off dry, semi-sweet, a blend, a regional blend,
Yeah.
sparkling, fortified. He does it all, and it's a very interesting tasting.
he specialises in this variety from the best sort of regions in SA.
What would you pair this with?
I pair it with myself and nothing else, to be honest. Asian food.
It's pretty fun.
No, I like the fish.
Yeah, Asian food is a classic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I actually think they still do an experience where they take you out to Fevre Asian and have Rieslings paired with lunch.
Yeah.
So Asian food. Very, I guess, affordable wines. For what they are, incredible quality.
What's the expensive price on Riesling?
Well, I bought $50+ Rieslings before.
Yeah.
Clear.
Let's try the next one.
Or
Would be
age
rare.
releases.
So why
Age, yeah.
aren't they priced as heavily as some of the, like reds and all that sort of stuff?
Because of the
Well,
cost
white
of
wine is
production.
cheaper to
The
produce.
production.
Cost
yeah.
of production.
Oh, on the
Yeah.
market, maybe
Well,
it's
don't
not
put it in
quite-
barrels.
What's the aged one that you brought to my place a couple of
Yeah,
times?
so
with Bradley.
so we've shared
Who is she?
probably 3 or 4 times now, Damo. The 03 Orlando Riesling, commemorative Riesling, which was to commemorate 50 years of Orlando's winemaking in Riesling. And we had one 6 months ago,
Yeah, not
3, 4 months ago.
Mm.
So it was a 17-year-old
It was
Riesling.
buttery, wasn't it?
Magnificent.
Mm.
No, so clearly the diesel characters on the nose and everything, but as soon as you take full of fruit,
Yeah.
full of fruit, still as
Well, that's-
robust as, lots of acid.
That's the beauty of
The
Riesling.
glands going.
Yeah. It's almost carried by the acids rather than
Oh,
a red wine would be
magnificent.
tannins, or
Yeah.
a fortified wine would be alcohol and sweetness, whereas Rieslings are just fresh.
But I think with
Minerally-
Riesling, if the nose puts you off,
I love-
the diesely note. If that
Yeah.
puts you off,
Like
you're
petrol.
gone. If you
I
can't
love
get
it.
it to your
I
lips.
love that kerosene.
Ah,
Some people
This-
love it or
that-
hate it.
If
Yeah.
I've got,
Minerally
I've got
sort
a
of
bottle left, I should
kerosene
flick it to
aged
Damo to
Tscharke.
try.
Yeah.
What are we drinking here?
We're now drinking a Chardonnay.
Chablis?
It's a Chablis Premier Cru. So traditionally these wines are, again, minerally fresh,
Don't mind that.
steely, but these are Premier Cru, so maybe they threw some oak at this wine. Possibly. I do taste a bit of
Oak.
lazy reductiveness. So maybe did spend some time in or fermented in barrel, but it is pretty clean. It's not an oaky wine. I wouldn't call it an oaky wine.
No, it's not at all.
It's more complex than the entry level Chablis that are just steely white fruit. Easy. Do you like it? Which one do you prefer?
I enjoy the Riesling.
Riesling, yeah.
That falls a bit flat for me.
Yeah.
What year is
I
that?
also prefer the Riesling.
17.
Yeah.
17.
Don't know. Riesling or?
Oh, hands down Riesling.
Yeah. I think so.
This, I mean, if it's a traditional Chardonnay style on oak, it would have the structure and carry. This just falls a little bit flat at the back of the palate for me.
And there is plenty of minerality in the wine. It's just not as complete and, I guess,
No.
polished as the Riesling.
Yeah.
And this is a big producer. This is probably one of the biggest producers over there. So this is a good example. It's not like you grabbed it from a garage winemaker.
Like, I love the way the Riesling's drinking.
Yeah, that's
right now.
excellent.
I think the Chardonnay just looks a little bit awkward. Maybe it just needs a bit more age. I find it a little bit more monotone.
How much Chardonnay do you drink? You drink a lot of Chardonnay?
How often will we have one? Probably one every a couple of months. Oh man.
We did discover a producer. We wanted to open it today, but the bottles, they need a bit more time in the cellar, which is like the most stunning white wine I've tried recently, and it is Chardonnay. We had one at Fermentation altogether.
I was going to
That was
say, it just
Chardonnay.
reminded me that was good.
That was
I
great.
guess.
He would want to be.
So it should have been.
It's also
Probably
like
one of
$600
them.
a bottle, but
Yeah.
it is good.
Probably one of the wines that we've had in the last 12 months that was just stand out, not just mind blowing, and for everyone that we were tasting with, almost to the point where people couldn't believe it was the wine. Like there must have been something else interfering with what we were tasting. And that was a Chardonnay.
That one, that fermentation.
No, this is another one that Marcus
We had a
referring to,
Chardonnay
which
there.
we're not.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
that's good, yeah.
we have them here, but we just want to sit them a little bit longer. But far out, that was just.
Actually,
seldom we have
I
a
just
wine
don't
that
drink a
actually
lot
could
of
be so
Chardonnay.
moving.
I just don't drink a lot of them.
Chardonnay is a neutral grape varietal, so it needs a lot of help from the winemaker, I guess. In this case, a little bit less, but the oaky examples that you mentioned before, they need a lot of winemaking to them.
Whereas I got a little white wine fridge at home full of Riesling, nothing else.
Yeah.
Just that's what I like. So that's excellent.
Riesling is good at many different stages. Some Chardonnays are only good with age, and some are only good young. Riesling gives you the option.
But I think with Chardonnay, coming back to the point earlier, there's a little bit more winemaking involved. It probably goes to that next level where you've got a bit more maturation and you may choose
more
to
complexity.
pull in some oak, and so there's probably more risk in that working or not working, or it's a bit more subjective whether or not you like that. But Riesling, provided it's dry and it's good for you, and the right region. And
I just find Chardonnay a lot more, but I know you can have pair wines with food, but Chardonnay for me is a food wine only. I don't think I consider around just drink it.
Riesling
Whereas Riesling you consider around, it's easy to drink, yeah.
Rieslings, they age not in a linear way. They taste great when they're young, then nothing for a few years, and then come back
at the end as
complex.
well. Yeah.
But I'm so on that on Rieslings. I'm interested in winemaker's perspective from you guys. It fascinates me that the wine that you do the least with as a winemaker can reward you the most and can often last the longest.
well, it's all about the fruit.
That's right.
And
Well,
with
Riesling-
wine,
So, and
with
I know
wines,
you're passionate.
wine's very
about-
unstable, and the more, and quite often with wine, the more you interfere, the more you're trying to introduce other components, perhaps.
Yes.
More Riesling
It's
goes.
in many ways it's disruptive to that the environment of all of those organic solids that are kind of trying to find an arrangement where they can remain in a soluble, stable state.
Yep.
And so there's something about Riesling that has this real sense of purity where it's less manipulated. We're not trying to introduce structure or tannin, by way of oak and aging it and trying to add more richness to the wine. Riesling's all about this line of purity and balance and getting acid right. And these wines can live forever.
So can we make a Shiraz or can we make a Cabernet purely from the fruit using the refined practices we do with Riesling, not introducing...
Riesling's lovely because it has the acidity naturally.
Yeah.
That sort of helps carry the wine and retains that freshness.
Yeah.
And acid is vital for balance and I guess that perception of freshness on the palate. The thing with reds is often you're looking for, and you're fermenting with skins.
Yeah.
So here we're introducing phenolics and another complexity in the winemaking. But to get those phenolics mature or ripe perhaps, so you're wanting ripe tannins, you're losing the acidity. Yeah. And so now it's kind of a bit of a fine balance. And so now you have to sort of bring back some balance in the wine and you're pulling in the acid. So I guess it's a different beast altogether. Riesling is beautiful for what it is. It's unique, and I think that's what it does well. Well, I think in reds, you just have to sort of find what works for that as a varietal.
What I find is when I was younger, and a lot of young people who, when they start drinking wine, they tend to go more with whites to the Sauvigs, Sauvignon Blancs.
Yeah.
But then to get a bit older, you tend to, I think...
Well, Sauvignon Blancs they're very simple wines.
Yeah.
And for a lot of consumers, there's this lack of confidence around, I don't know what I'm tasting, but I like it.
Yeah.
With Sauvignon Blanc, what it almost gives the consumer confidence, so someone who's drinking Sauvignon Blanc, is they're so simple as a wine, generally speaking.
Yeah. New Zealand
they're all quite similar, but people can easily identify it. So these wines in themselves, they're almost somewhat charismatic in that I pour you a Sauvignon Blanc and everyone can say, oh, there's passion for it, or that's it's green, and that's Sauvignon Blanc. And I think consumers like that ability to be able to identify with the wine. And so it gives them sort of confidence that, oh yeah, this is Sauvignon Blanc. But once they start to develop a palate and acquire more of a taste for wine, they realise, this is a little bit, I want a bit more.
Yeah, that's right.
And this is not kind of rewarding my palate. I want something that just can give me a little bit more of an
experience. I just found, I remember when I started drinking wine, white wine, it was also Blanc. Now I wouldn't go back to it. Now it's Riesling for me. That's just my preference.
There's one producer that does it exceptionally well. They are the benchmark, and that's Sean Smith.
Sean Smith, yeah.
And then there's everything else.
New Zealand got good ones though.
I think
a cheap Kiwi Sauv Blanc is the worst thing you can buy, but a good one is good.
We had one.